Hello everyone, this is Hakaym and welcome back to some more World of Warships, and today we are taking a look at the Tier 8 Royal British British Battleship. Almost said Royal British Cruiser there. The Monarch, Tier 8, and I really don't know how to say this. We'll talk more about the ship, but let's take a look at the team. We are playing everyone's favorite map and favorite mode, Tears of the Desert. We have a Yamato, Monarch, Tirpitz, Amagi, Hindenburg, Neptune, New Orleans, Charles Martel, Z-52, Shimakaze, Tashkent, and Pinson. On the enemy team, there's a Yamato, North Carolina, two Bismarcks, Amagi, Mossfa, Baltimore, Edinburgh, two Gearings, Yugamo, and a Ognovoy. And I know this battle to be actually a very close battle, and yeah, let's actually talk about the ship. This ship is, I guess, the closest thing you get to a upgraded Scharnhorst. I mean, that's the only way I can really describe it. I would say she's the stinker. She is capable. I've had instances where especially closer to the end of the game, she is definitely very capable of assisting, but I find it very difficult to actually assist as far as carrying the game. She can definitely surprise some people, especially with her AP. Her HE's not bad. It's definitely fairly decent, but it is the British AP, which means the fact that it can't really penetrate through the Citadel armor on battleships, but you can get it through the Citadel armor on cruisers, so you can definitely use that for your benefit. And so, one little side note, I just saw that Mossfa take damage, and I think I know why. Maybe. I think it ran into a ship. But for some odd reason, the game's not showing shells. So this is going to be interesting, to say the very least. Alright, so the guns. HE's 35% fire chance is alright. You don't feel the same as, say, the Orion or the Iron Duke. It doesn't feel like you're a really good fire starter, but you still have that potential, and you can do fairly good damage with your HE, but it can be frustrating at the exact same time. You have a good penetration value, but at the exact same time, there are or have been instances where the amount of damage just doesn't really rack up. As you can see there, we got two penetrations on that Baltimore and only did around 1900. So yeah, it can be very frustrating, and this is a very odd game right now, because no shells are being shown at all. This is very bizarre, so I do apologize, but this is one of my better games I've had with her in the stock mode, so I'm just going to run with it. Hopefully you guys will forgive me for not having the shells showing up. So the Monarch has good detection with both commander skill as well as your concealment expert. It has very good concealment, 10.9 kilometers. That is very small. Only downside is your range is only 16.5 when you have her at stock, so it can be very aggravating. And I will have to say, running a stock Monarch is frustrating, and I would almost say use your free XP to get the modules, and they're expensive. I believe the whole upgrade is around 52,000 XP, so it can be very expensive to get that upgraded. But honestly, I would have to say definitely get the range, and then the whole. So yeah. All right. So our team, as I run right into a New Orleans, we're ahead in ships. We have lost a cruiser and a destroyer. They've lost two destroyers and a cruiser. The Mossfa should go down. He's very low in health. But as you can see, I'm playing very passively, and that really comes down to the fact of the health pool. The health pool is very, very small compared to the other tier 8s. Even at stock, even a stock Monarch versus a stock North Carolina, you have the least amount of health available to any of the tier 8. So you do have to play a little bit more conservatively. And the fact that your alpha damage isn't the greatest is another big factor, because against other battleships, your main weapon of choice, or better, main shell choice, is going to be high explosive. Now granted, I will say the AP can and will penetrate through the armor on the side of battleships and get decent damage. I've had 1500. I mean, you can get those decent damage, but you can't get that devastating damage with citadels. And citadel damage is definitely, well, it's not really repairable. You only get a small percentage back from that. So with that, you do have to keep in mind that against other battleship, your main weapon of choice is just going to be HE. That's all you can really do, is just use your HE for the major benefit, just to cause those fires and cause that harassment. So with that in mind, playing style, once again, you really do have to play more passively. Now you can, and I would not recommend it, you can try to bow tank, but yeah, I just really, for the most part, I would say the Monarch is more of a ship on the move, relying on relocating and catching enemy ships by surprise, especially cruisers. Catching enemy cruisers with your AP, it's a lot of fun, because you can get those citadels and you can get those nice numbers. Now, the dispersion on the guns, well, I've had good dispersion and I've had bad dispersion, and this is always due to the fact that battleship dispersion is very erratic every which way. So you always have to take a grain of salt whenever I say I've had the worst luck, because my luck is generally terrible. Sigma value is supposed to be one of the better on most other tier or other nation battleships, but for whatever reason, with my luck, it just seems like to go every which way. It's not that really tight dispersion that you would hope for. So yeah. All right. So damage wise, we haven't done that much. We do have a fire, I believe, on the North Carolina. I think he's actually burning. We did get a decent hit on the Yamato, but as you can see, we're just kind of playing it more passively. Our friendly team is pushing. We have a Tirpitz, I believe, is pushing the enemy Bismarck, but goes down to the Ognivoy. And oh, looky there, we got another fire. Yep, this is once again, this is how you're gonna be playing the Monarch. It's just causing those fires. And I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the fact that using HE a lot, I just feel like a total scrub every time I play the British battleships, because of using high explosive all the time instead of armor piercing. Alright, so I do switch over to AP, hoping to get a shot on that Edinburgh, and he is quite a bit of distance away. So not likely these shells are actually going to hit. I think they actually just went all around him. So no damage was taken there. Our Shimakaze is in a very odd location. I don't know why he's so far out west. I think he's trying to get torpedoes on the North Carolina, but I don't think he's having that much success. I really don't know. Alright, so the enemy team is starting to pull themselves back. They, I believe, have a Bismarck who's low on health. Amagi's in a very precarious location. The Yamato's pushing down as well. And there is a full health Amagi. So at the moment, things could be definitely better. We have our DD advantage, which once again isn't really that beneficial, because we have a Tashkent and a Shimakaze way out west. way out west. Don't really know why they're all the way out there, but they are. So right now I'm going to go ahead and try to push in. Try to assist. Looks like we have taken down another of their battleships. They've lost their Bismarck. Now there's only 3 left on the enemy team. Main focus is to try to take out the enemy Yamato. I think he's our more major threat. But with the fact that there is still a Ognivoy and a Gearing around, our friendly battleships are in potential danger. Ognivoy is more of a torpedo boat, and the Gearing has decent range torpedoes as well. Now we have lost our New Orleans to torpedoes, which is once again unfortunate, and unfortunately we can't see where they actually are. So sorry. Alright, but other than that, decent hit. Trying to get some fires on the enemy Yamato. Definitely would like to take him down. But as you can see, our friendly Yamato's not doing so hot. Ooh, looks like he took a big ol' hit right there. Finally goes down, but our friendly Yamato goes down at the exact same time. And now you can see why I think this is going to be a very close match. There is a enemy Amagi. I believe there's also the enemy Edinburgh, which is currently trying to deal with our Tashkent and Shimakaze. And against a Amagi, definitely do not want to show broadside. Amagi has very big guns. So I'm going to actually go ahead and start pulling away. We are ahead in points, which is going to prove very beneficial for us. It's going to ensure that we stay alive, and the Amagi opens up with a Chi. Yeah, don't really know why. But he is going to be slinging a Chi towards us. Gonna try to keep distance away from the destroyer as much as possible. Now, one nice thing about the Monarch is the fact that she does have decent speed, around 26.6 knots when you have the stock version. So it is beneficial to actually have that decent speed, because right now all we have to do is actually just kind of stay alive, try to prevent them from continually capping. There is about 7 minutes left on the timer, so there is going to be a little bit of discrepancy. So we do have to kind of play this out, because at the moment, both of our destroyers are very low on health. Gearing is sitting around 1300. Tashkent possibly could take on the Gearing, especially at range, but the unfortunate thing is, oh, look at there. Tashkent goes down, and now we are very close to one another. Now look at our Shimakaze. Granted, the Shimakaze finally takes out the enemy Edinburgh, which has gave us some additional points, but his location is not optimal. He's very far out of any potential of assisting the team, so we do have to be extremely careful. Okay, so Magi continues, sets us ablaze. We are unfortunately gonna have to eat this. Fire damage. The repair party is alright. It's not the godly British battleship heal. So we do have to be very, very careful on our heals. We do have 5 charges, so I mean, we still have plenty to sustain us, keep us alive for a little bit longer. Now, we do know Ognivoy is actually coming towards us, and I do go ahead and pop the spotter craft to try to assist on spotting him. Exact same time, I'm going to try to narrow in. We do have a Benson, but he is playing cautiously as well. He is also very, very, very low on health, so you can see the predicament we're in. Enemy team is actually starting to cap the mid. I believe the Benson might try to stop it, or at least forestall it as long as possible. But there is the potential that the Gearing might try to push north and try to take me out. I'm being very, very cautious right now. The Ognivoy is around, and there he is, finally spotted, and open up with the salvo. And look at that, yeah, this is kind of what I'm saying about the dispersion sometimes. Kind of goes every which way. Kind of annoying at times. Once again, the HE damage, or better yet, the dispersion is supposed to be really good, but it just seems to go every direction. And once again, we are set on fire. I am playing very cautiously because, oh, look at there, we got hit by a torpedo and we are taking significant amount of damage from that. Our damage control is currently down, but should come up in a second. And we should take out the Ogden Void. There we go. Very nice. Benson has popped smoke screen, but there is obviously a gearing coming our direction. And I think a very smart decision would be reversing and trying to stay out of the way as much as possible. Because that Amagi is still alive and well, and if we get lit up by fire, that will be the end for us. I don't think we would be able to sustain ourselves from any other potential fires. So going to reverse, we are being hit by the gearing. Obviously I am going to try to keep the Amagi between this rock and myself. And oh, looky there, there's a fire, but we have about 30 seconds on damage control, so we should be able to be able to weather this fire. But we're gonna try to get out of here as much as possible. We are no longer detected. Enemy team have captured the center, but they are at a deficit of about 300-ish points, probably a little bit less than that. So they should not be able to pull back. As long as we control the mid-ring, they shouldn't get enough points to be able to win. But as you can see, taking my sweet time on reversing. Right now, I think the best option for us is just to survive. Our Benson has now come out and is now faced off against a gearing. This gearing is low on health. Very low on health, but I think for whatever reason I aimed a little bit too far forward due to the fact that his engine is out, and unfortunately for us, the gearing is going to survive. Can we get our guns reloaded? We do run adrenaline rush on our captain. Let's see, can we finish off this gearing? Please, we need to kill this gearing right now, and the Shimikaze gets the kill. Okay. Alright, well, hey, that's at least one less destroyer. There's no more destroyers on the enemy team. There's just the Amagi. And the Amagi is trying to get into a position to take me out. But even if he does take me out, I don't think that's going to be enough to get them ahead in points. There is only about 1 minute and 32 seconds left on the clock, so they are running very tight on time, and I think the only way they'd be able to win is if they took both of us out, and I'm not going to allow them to do that. I'm actually going to play it very cautiously here. I am going to ensure that I stay away from taking any more damage, keeping this, once again, this island between myself and this Amagi. Now, could I have taken on the Amagi? It's feasible, but I'm way too low on health. I cannot sustain myself from any more damage, so just better off to stay alive and win this match because we are ahead in points. Shimikaze almost could possibly at least put a toe onto the cap and prevent them from getting any more points, but honestly, he's playing cautiously as well, and we are going to win this match. So very nice. Not a bad game. Very close due to the fact that we could have easily swung the other way, but fortunately our destroyers kept the cap for ourselves for the longest time. But yeah, kind of quick thoughts on the Monarch. Yeah, we'll see how she is once she's fully upgraded. But definitely going to be a stinker when you first get her. So, end of the battle. So our team earned a victory. We brought home 257,321 silver, 7,729 XP, and 387 free XP. We earned fireproof, which is kind of very common with these ships, probably going to be even more so with the Lion and the Conqueror. We caused 114,670 points of damage, 63 shell hits, 4 incapacitations, 1 kill, 10 fires, and 4 secondary hits. Probably one of my better games as far as the stock is concerned. She is very reliant on the fires just to get damage. Not saying that you can get nice citadel damage against cruisers, but for the most part against other battleships, HE causing fires is probably going to be the way to go. We are on second on the team with a base XP of 1,689. The kill secured was against the Ognavoy, around 4,000 points of damage. Most amount of damage was caused against the Amagi. North Carolina, we did around 22,000. Yamato, we did around 15,000. High explosives did around 59,667. Armor piercing did around 10,651. But fires, 42,471. So yes, once again, fires is where you're going to be really racking up the damage. And I feel so dirty with it in playing a battleship and using high explosive, but it really is one of the better aspects of the British battleships. So that's actually going to be it for this. We're going to quickly jump into the port and take a look at our stats. I will see you guys there. Alright everyone, welcome back to the port. And the Monarch, well, I would like to say she's a good ship. And she does have some of her good qualities, and there's actually quite a few bad qualities. I'm not a big fan, especially considering the stock version is quite a chore to get through. Really comes down to quite a few things about her when she is stock, so do keep that in mind when you first get her. She's not particularly the greatest thing in the world. Let's quickly take a look at the stats. Survivability, 53,900, which, I mean, considering it's stock, it's not the best, but it's not the worst thing in the world. There are definitely the other tiers, which will have a lot more health, and we actually have, let's actually compare it to, say, the Amagi, because as many of you people know, I love my Amagi. I love her to death. I think she's a great and fantastic ship. So the Amagi, when you have her first, you're looking at 59,300, and the Bismarck, when you have it, let's see, let's actually take a look, 64,500 when you first get the Bismarck and the Amagi. So health pool, definitely a lot lower compared to the other tier 8 battleships. And that's, I think, one of the major issues with at least the British battleships, because prior to this, the King George V, its health pool was actually the second highest, and now the Monarch is the lowest. I believe the North Carolina can also get up in the almost 60,000 points of health. Granted, yes, it's a stock. I fully understand this, but this is what you're going to be expecting when you first get her. So health pool is not the greatest. Armor, 457 at the thickest, which is actually technically the one of the thicker armor that you'll have, though you will get citadeled. I have been citadeled. I think I got citadeled by a New Mexico, which is kind of rather amusing, but yes, New Mexico can citadel you. Not particularly the greatest thing in the world. Your Citadel torpedo bulkhead is 44 millimeters. You do have this kind of thicker armor belt, 381, but at times that, like I said, can not always protect you. So do keep in mind, you do have an issue when you show broadside to certain battleships. They can actually penetrate through your bulkhead and actually get to your citadel. Her guns are not too bad as far as the thickness. Now, I've heard a good tactic for British battleships is focusing the guns down, since they do take quite a bit of damage. Torpedo protection, 24%. Amagi obviously is going to have the much higher, 45%. Bismarck has the same with 24%. But the only major benefit is the fact that the Bismarck does have hydroacoustics while the Monarch does not. So you do have to be a little bit more weary of any potential torpedoes that might be coming in your direction. So moving on to this, main guns, you have 3 triple turrets, 381 millimeters. I believe they're the exact same from the King George V. I want to say they're okay, just a tiny bit bigger than King George V. So they do have a little bit better penetration value. They have a very quick reload time, 25 seconds. The turn time of the guns, and this is once again with Jack Dunkirk, so I kind of feel bad for anyone that does not run Jack Dunkirk. 36 turn time on the guns. Dispersion's not too bad. That's at a 16.5 kilometer range, 209 meters. It's not bad, but even though that the British battleships are supposed to have a high sigma value, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm fairly certain this is what I have read and heard about. Dispersion is sporadic. I really feel like it just goes every which way, and it's kind of annoying at times. Very annoying. Max HE damage is 6,300. Fire chance is 35%. Yes, it's good high fire chance, but at the exact same time, you're facing off against other tier 8s or even potentially tier 10 ships, and they have a much higher fire chance resistance compared to lower tiers. So yes, lower tiers, you're gonna melt them away because they have a much lower fire percent chance, but with the higher tiers, your percentage on actually getting fires is fairly low. I don't feel like I get quite a bit of fires. There are those random opportunities where you get 2 or 3 fires at once and then they automatically heal it, and then you try to get another fire on them and they don't seem to burn at all. So yeah, I mean, 35% is not bad, but it really comes down to whether or not your shells will actually land, or better yet, go where you've aimed. And if you aim properly, they still seem to go every which way. Can you tell I'm a little salty about this? Max AP damage is 11,900. AP is great against cruisers. You can citadel them and you can do a significant amount of damage. Against other battleships, it's a little bit more finicky. You can get penetration on the battleships, and you can get, I remember one battle I had about 15,000 points of damage against a broadside North Carolina, or better, I think it was the King George V. So you can get a decent roll on that damage, but almost always, well, not almost always, but for the most part, I would say using HE is your better opportunity. Now, one thing I do have to say about these shells, and I've just kind of noticed it quite a bit, is the fact that these shells tend to break quite often, at least from what I've seen, from what I've been watching. So they do have a potential of breaking and causing no damage, and then it's just extremely frustrating. Max range is 16.5, as I pointed out. This is another big factor, is her range is very small compared to the other tier 8 battleships. Bismarck has a range of 19.3 kilometers, Tirpitz has 21.4, Moggy has 19.9. You get the gist. So she definitely doesn't have the range compared to the other battleships, and that can be slightly annoying. You can compensate it with a spotting craft, which does prove beneficial. But for the most part, you really have to be careful on your positioning, because if you are spotted, the other tier 8 and obviously any higher can outrange you, and some tier 7s can outrange you as well. So you really got to be careful on that fact. Secondaries, you have 8 dual 134, almost the exact same as the KGV. 6.7 second reload time with a 1900 max HE damage with an 8% fire chance and a 5.3 kilometer range. So yeah, they're there. AA defense when you first get her is all right. It's not the greatest in the world, but once you get it fully upgraded, your AA is pretty decent, and it can shoot down tier 9 and tier 10 planes at regular intervals. You have 22 single 20 millimeters. Average damage is 79 with a 2-kilometer range. Then you have 4 quintuple 40 millimeters. They have an average damage of 52 with a 2.5-kilometer range. Then you have 6 octo 40 millimeters, 119 average damage with a 2.5-kilometer range. And then your secondaries offer additional assistance. Average damage is 65 with a 4.5-kilometer range. As you can tell, your mid-range is one of your more potent, the 2.5 for the most part. So that is where you're probably going to be dealing the most amount of damage. Your short range is, yeah, it's alright. It's not the greatest in the world. Alright, moving on to maneuverability. Speed, not bad. 27.9 knots. Definitely gets you around the map. The upgrade, as I will show you in just a second, just gives you additional knot or two faster, so it is beneficial. I do believe I run a speed flag. Let's actually quickly check this out to make sure I am not pulling you guys' leg. Yes, I do run a speed flag, so without it, let's actually pull that off so you get a general gist what to expect. 26.6 knots. Not too bad. I believe a lot of the other tier 8 battleships are within that range. Some a little bit slower and some are a little bit faster. So overall, speed, pretty nice. Pretty nice. Turning circle radius is 790 meters. The Bismarck has 850 and Moggy, I believe, is up in that range, 870. So she does have the tighter turning circle radius compared to the other tier 8s. The only downside is her rudder shift time. Look at that, 21 seconds. 21 seconds. Oh, it is so frustrating to try to get the ship turn. Her rudder shift time is abysmal. Bismarck 12.8, Amagi is 13.9. So you can see that the other tier 8s have better rudder shift time, albeit they do have a bigger turning circle radius than you, but they definitely can change their course a little bit quicker than what you can. So do have to keep in mind when you first have her, it is extremely frustrating. All right, nice thing about this ship. I've been talking a lot of crap about the ship, and I don't mean to, but nice thing about this ship is her detectability. Look at that, 10.9. 10.9. That is as low as some tier 10 cruisers. I believe the Zhao is very close to that. Minotaur is 9.9. So very, 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 very low detectability. So that is the good thing, which does help the fact that she does have very short range guns. So that does allow you to get a little bit closer and if need to, turn away and run the other direction. So detectability range is good. By air is 9.7 kilometers. And here we can see that after she fires her main gun while she's in a smoke screen, she will be detected at a range of 13.3 kilometers. So not too bad. Honestly, not too bad. I've never really dealt with a lot of smoke screen now. Usually don't even mind it. There are times when using smoke still is beneficial, but you'll still be detected at that distance, so do keep that in mind. Moving on to the modules, you'll finally get Concealment Expert, which definitely helps your detectability by far. So this is very nice to have. Everything else is per usual. Not a lot has changed. Heal is decent, 323 points per second. Moggy has definitely a little bit better, 397. I believe the Bismarck probably has a little bit better as well. 415. They all run at around 28 seconds. I believe the Monarch's a little bit, it's actually about the same. So as far as recovering health, you don't have that godly British heal until you get to the Lion, so still have to deal with the much crappier version of the heal until you get up to the tier 9. Captain wise, he's actually almost a 19-point captain. he's come a long way. Not a lot has changed. Will eventually decide on what points I want to go with my captain. I haven't quite made up my mind, but as usual, priority target. Once again, I run Jack Dunkirk, and he has a better expert marksman, jack of all trades, and also the smoke screen, captain skill. So those are definitely a lot better. I do have jack of all trades and expert marksman, which is so nice on these British battleships due to the fact that their guns do turn a little bit on the slow side. I do have expert loader just so I can switch shells quickly. Adrenaline rush, superintendent, and concealment expert. And I haven't quite made up my mind on the last point on the captain, or better yet, where I'm going to spend the last 4. So we'll see as we get the captain leveled up to 19. But anyways, this is going to be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you like what you saw, hit the like and subscribe button. You guys have a great and fantastic day. Zai Jin.